What's going on, Sci-Fi fans? My name is Ben, and welcome back to the bench for another episode of Sci-Fi Wednesdays. Today we are back on the Arquitens, and we're going to go ahead and finish off this build. I'm super excited. Let's jump in. We have a lot to do. So last episode, I went ahead and finished off the LEDs. We've got a number of LEDs in the front hull area. We've got one in the bridge. We've got 4 in the hangar bays, 2 per side, and then we have a single LED light that goes ahead and lights up all the fiber optics. Now I wish I could have added in more of the fiber optics, and I'm not 100% happy with how the hangar bay has turned out, but for the most part, it's not too bad for my first time trying something like this. Now I would have also loved to have lit up that front launch bay, or even put more LEDs and more fiber optics, but there's just not enough room. Everything is too cramped, too tight, too many filaments, and I think this is about the extent of what I can achieve with my skill set as it is. So I'm going to roll with it. I'm happy with what I've got so far, and I think we're going to move on. We're going to get this thing finished up. So I think today we're going to start off with our clear plastic film right here. We're going to cut out some rectangles that are the exact same shape and size for the front of each of the hangar bays. Right now, if you look at the hangar bays and the lights are not on, they don't look blue. They just look kind of weird and off-white. So what I want to go ahead and do is take these rectangles of clear plastic. I want to go ahead and sand them down to make them opaque. Then I want to overcoat the outside of that with a clear blue color. That's going to go ahead and make sure that when you look at them and the lights are not on, it still looks blue. Let's go ahead and jump into our first time lapse. I want to go ahead and build the rest of the ship. Then I want to come in and I want to do some light blocking because this plastic isn't necessarily what you would call thick. It's a very thin outer layer of plastic. So I need to go ahead and light block this. You'll be using some flat black for that. Then I can prime it with Mr. Surfacer, and we can start our painting process. And the painting process is going to be some pre-shade with NATO Black. We have a top coat of light gray that I custom mixed years ago for my Star Destroyer. And we're going to come in with some marbling coats and some accent panels. We'll pick out some of the armor plates with a little bit of a lightened base coat. After that's done, we can come in, blend everything together, and then we can hit it with a gloss coat, and we'll be ready for weathering. So let's go ahead and get this party started, guys. Let's see what we can do. Let's build up and paint our Arquitens. Alright guys, so we are back, and as you can see, this is one cool looking ship. We've got everything nicely painted, we've got everything light block, did some extensive work there in the paint booth, was able to come in with some pre-shade, used NATO Black for that, went ahead and traced around some of the panel lines, came in with a top coat there of a homemade mixture of gray that I used for my Star Destroyer way back in the day. Still was good, so I used it here. We have some pre-shade, some post-shade, some marble coats on there. I love how different panels kind of pop out at you, so I'm really happy with the paint job. Went ahead and overcoated the entire model kit with some Future, so we are ready to come back in here and work on some basic weathering. Give this thing a little bit more character. But first, before we go ahead and do any weathering, I want to go ahead and glue in all of the fiber optic strands so I don't end up breaking them, pulling them out, or hurting them when I go ahead and start weathering. Just a little bit here, not too much. It is kind of thick, so it should stay where I put it. Once I get it on there, we're going to then slide that cabling back into the hole I drilled. And once it's in there, I can take my UV flashlight, shine it over that area, make sure that it's not going to go anywhere, and then we can move on to the next one. So I think that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to jump back into the time lapse. I want to go ahead and secure all the fiber optics, get that all nicely set up and ready to go, and then we're going to start some weathering. So without further ado, let's jump back into that time lapse. Let's finish off our Arquitens. Let's see how we do. Alright everybody, we are back, and after 4 weeks here on the bench, we have finally finished off our Arquitens Light Cruiser. I gotta tell you, it was a great build. I had so much fun working with a 3D printed model. I really respect 3D printed models now. I've been able to get in there, work with them, see how they're put together, and honestly, this is our finished product, and it's not half bad. I'm pretty pleased with it. As you can see, we've got it mounted to a nice half-dome base. I pulled that out of an old Star Trek kit. I believe it came out of the Excelsior model. So you can see I've got a battery pack in the bottom there. I've got a single switch that goes ahead and operates on and off. Very simple, nothing too fancy. Just a little push button switch right there, and we click that, and as you can see, the lights come on. We've got the bridge light, the hanger lights, as well as the LED fiber optics. Everything pops on, and it looks pretty good, so I'm happy with it. I still wish I could have added in just a little bit more LEDs and fiber optics, but for what I've got here, I really like how this has turned out. Let's go ahead and get you a close-up here, and you can see some of the details. Hopefully you can tell I've got a little bit of distinguishing panel lines. I've got some post shade and pre-shade showing through. I would have loved to have lit up this front launch bay. That would have been epic, but unfortunately I kind of reached the limit of what I could do. It is what it is. We got the bridge in there nicely. We've got everything diffused so that's not too powerful. The rear engines, I went ahead and put a single resistor on there, and that's just to go ahead and make sure they don't overpower everything else, because they were pretty bright. So you can see the hangar bay's got that nice little covering right there. It's okay. It's not the best. I could have done something a bit differently, but that's what I came up with, and it is what it is. And then we have our fiber optics that scattered throughout the ship. Now I wish I could have done more. I think it would have been even more impactful had I had a few more up in the front of that. Unfortunately, the front of this was just way too impacted with filament. I couldn't get anything in there, and I definitely couldn't have lit that front launch tube without doing some major surgery, and I just didn't really want to do that. So maybe for another time, we might be able to come back, try something else. But for this run, I think it's pretty decent. Honestly, the surface detail on this model was just excellent. We've got some nice 3D relief detail. We've got armor plates that kind of jump out at you. A little bit of clever weathering, and I think it looks really cool. Now you'll notice that the base I have here is very simplistic. I actually did that on purpose, because I have a Star Destroyer that has the same type of base. I wish I could have added in more fiber optics, and I really wish I had enough know-how and enough room in there to go ahead and light up the launch tube. That would have been epic. But unfortunately, just not enough room. There's way too many filaments in there to get in there and add in more fiber optics like I wanted to, so we're going to call this one done. I'm happy with how it's turned out. It was a super fun project, and it was a modeling adventure, something I've never done before. Built a 3D printed kit and also tried to light that 3D printed kit. So I'm really happy with this. I want to say thank you so much for watching the video series. We're going to be back next week with a new build. I had a lot of fun with this, and I hope you guys had fun too. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey. Until our next episode, guys, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here for a new build next week on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and may the Force be with you.